Hello and welcome to the Sunday Shavasana series, recorded live. I'm Lizzie Lasater here with 69 brave yogis, 68 brave yogis from around the world. A lot of Europeans today here with us, Portugal, United Kingdom, Germany, some brave Americans up early to practice with us. Here's my plan. We have an hour together. I'm going to introduce our theme and a few points to help light the fire for practice, to help you understand why we would practice Shavasana, which is a totally radical, almost nonsensical, crazy thing to do in our culture that is obsessed with producing and consuming at all times, that is obsessed with being connected and being stimulated and always being available to other people through this electronic device that I am chained to, that I take with me everywhere, that I sleep with, that I love. So, taking 20 minutes to disconnect on many levels, to disconnect on the digital level, to disconnect on the physical level, to disconnect on the kind of organism level as an animal, to downshift. We're going to talk about why that might be interesting or beneficial for ourselves. So, my theme for us today is really about silence, receiving silence. And I love that word receiving because it's passive. It's not it's not something that I need to do. It's not another thing that I need to do. It's not even really another skill I need to acquire. My mom, Judith Hansen Lasater, sometimes says that in active asana, we do the poses, but in restorative yoga, the poses do us. So the subject object relationship gets reversed. And that's what I mean by receiving. As some of you know, one of my twins cut his finger really badly this week. We were at the hospital, there were stitches. And so this idea of getting onto the mat, not to do yoga, but I've really been tapping into that feeling of letting myself receive the healing powers of this practice to downregulate myself. So silence itself is an active state of receiving. And that sense that we are opening ourselves up when we do Shavasana to receive information. I know we have at least one writer with us on the call. We're opening ourselves up to receive creativity, to receive wisdom, inner knowing, um, messages from our higher self, however you want to describe it or however you experience it. Give a yes in the chat if you have experienced that before in yoga practice, especially in restorative yoga practice. Yes, absolutely. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Okay, so this silence that we're cultivating is an active state of receiving. And I want to stress for us today that this is an intentional openness, but it's not a void. So, in case you're a non-native English speaker, void is like a scary emptiness, kind of like a black hole. And I think that some of us resist this practice in the beginning because we're afraid of looking at that void. There's a great manifesto about architecture by Adolf Loos called Ins Leere gesprochen that was written about 100 years ago in the emptiness, spoken into the void. And he was talking about modernism and feeling it's against decoration from the previous century. And so we're afraid of this void, many of us, of contacting that. But that's not what I find arises for me, arises for my students. It's not what I hear. It's in fact that we step into this openness, to this blank space. And this receptive state, I'm going to tell you 4 bullet points, and then we're going to start the practice about kind of the physiology of what's happening the words that I use, the open space, this kind of receptive state, what's actually happening is that our brain waves are shifting. So the brain waves are moving from beta to alpha, which doesn't really make sense to me because I feel like it should be the other way around. But beta is where we are when we're just walking around. Right now, you're all in beta. We're in beta brainwaves. They're faster. And alpha are slower brainwaves. It's about half the speed. And that's what happens when we do intentional deep relaxation is we move into this alpha state. So let me tell you four things that happen when we move into the alpha brain state. Number one is mental clarity. Our thoughts slow down and we feel a heightened sense of awareness without effort. Give a yes in the chat if you felt that before, that sense of mental clarity while doing Shavasana. Number two is an inner calm, a sensation of tranquility or spaciousness, which is free from anxiety or agitation. Give a yes in the chat if you felt that before. This kind of spaciousness is also, Patanjali talks about it in the Yoga Sutra. He writes about coinciding with the infinite, that there's a state we reach when we practice yoga where we can no longer tell where our body ends and the space of the room begins. And that is this sense of spaciousness that we expand. And it's a kind of no I-ness, that sense of I and self and really strong ego focused, personality focused awareness begins to dissolve in a really pleasant way. There isn't like, I'm feeling this, there's just feeling this. Okay, number three, creativity and intuition. So we have a lot of creative insights and intuitive thoughts that arise more easily when we're in the alpha brainwave state. Yes, please. Yes, please. Yes, please. Uh-huh. Christine says it's like being suspended. Yeah, like floating. Has anyone ever tried one of those um tanks where you go in and it's salt water and you float? I guess they're called sensory deprivation chamber tanks or something. I've never tried one before. I need to try it next time I go to San Francisco because it seems like it would be similar to Shavasana, but they don't have one here in little old Salzburg. Okay, last one, physical relaxation. So muscles may feel loose and there's often a feeling of lightness in the body. I also want to mention that students often ask me about specific sensations that they experience in these deep relaxation poses. Almost all of these, as long as they're not painful, are completely fine and are just your own body's way of letting go of tension. So there's a lot of built up muscular tension, emotional tension, trauma tension, uh, you know, all the stories that are swirling around for us from today, this week, this month, this lifetime. And that is being held, no matter what energy it is, it's being held in the physical body on some level. And when we invite ourselves to relax, we sometimes experience physical sensations that coincide with the letting go of this energy. And that's completely fine. And I wouldn't even put so much stock or focus on like what exactly is going on. Just be like, okay, noticing that feeling, and then I'm exhaling and letting it go. Okay, any questions before we move to the mat? Jackie says those flotation tanks are amazing. That's cool. Yeah, I really want to try one. Okay, so Sarah's here if you need me while I'm back there because I can't see the chat. Let's start with our old favorite, cat cow. So you're going to come to hands and knees and you're going to bring your shoulders over your wrists. And this is a time when I would suggest you close your eyes and just begin to get in touch with a space of sensation rather than thought. It's like moving through this range of motion. And really thinking about that word receiving. Keep going as I talk, please. That sense of receiving, that the spine is not creating the movement, but it's receiving the movements. So the belly organs are lifting up, the head drops, the belly organs press back towards the spine rounds and receives them as the organs nestle up and back towards the back body. And now the front body receives as the belly softens, the tailbone lifts, and the heart naturally begins to open. Continuing like this. Maybe moving to half speed, 50%. About 3 more in your own rhythm, in your own timing. And release. Find your way onto your back. Bend your knees and pause. Just landing here on the back body. Press into the feet. Lift the hips. And simultaneously, the arms lift up. And we exhale. We release the pelvis down to the floor and release the hands as well. Can you breathe more slowly? This is a moving pranayama. A few gentle movements to prepare ourselves to lie still. Three more breaths. Last time. And release. Begin to let the knees drop to one side and pause there. A full round of breath. And then bring the knees to the other side. The first side. And last time on the second side. Roll all the way onto your side. Pause here and come back up to sitting. So you need a bolster now, or you can improvise with a couple pillows. And while I'm walking around, standing up and walking around, I'm gonna get two blankets to have nearby. And I'm also gonna have my eye cover, anything soft to cover your eyes for the practice. And I'm gonna get my socks. Okay, so this is a twist, a supported twist, and the legs are supported here. This is from, I just learned this from Mary Richards, and I've been doing it every single day since our Somatic Woman class that we had on Wednesday. Um, and how it starts, I'm just moving this out of the way so you can see. You lie on your back, and then you're going to move your pelvis. Let's all twist to the right first. So you're going to move your pelvis a little bit to the left and cross the left over the right. So you're crossing your legs just like how you would when you sit in a chair. And then I'm going to use the bolster to decrease the range of motion. You're welcome to bring the knees all the way down, but that torques my sacroiliac joint. I just feel pain in my low back there, so don't tolerate any pain there. That's why I like to have the bolster to kind of stop myself. This pose is not about amplitude. It's not about getting as big as possible. Now I'm going to take my left hand and stretch it up and away in a diagonal line away from my legs. Oh, and now as I'm here, ever so slightly, subtly, I'm going to start to do a cat-cow movement with the breath, of course. Inhaling, I'm lifting the tailbone and sort of rolling forward a little bit. And exhale, I make a rounded shape and I lengthen that left arm away. If it feels a little confusing or funny, that's fine. Just moving the lumbar spine through a little bit of flexion extension. You're tucking and untucking the tailbone with the breath. Should feel a little bit juicy here. Like you're kind of just rolling around on the floor, which is basically what you're doing. Rolling around on the floor with the rhythm of your breath. Three more breaths here. And release. Come back to neutral, all the way onto your back, and just pause here, feeling the ripples through your body. Something mom says in classes a lot, which I really like, is that yoga is a process of action, reflection, action, reflection. So that's one way to slow your practice down. No matter how intense you want to be moving, you can always take a few breaths in between poses to reflect on the sensations in the body. Let's take the second side. So first you're going to move your hips to the right slightly and cross your right knee over your left. Adjust your support and twist over. Reach that right arm now up and away. And begin this kind of pulsing jellyfish movement all the way down through the pelvis. So it's not just my shoulders rolling back and forth. This movement is really starting much lower on the spine. Two more breaths. Really come back onto your back body. And just lie there. Let the knees fall together. Two or three slow, gentle breaths here. And roll to the side and press yourself. Okay, coming up. Any questions about that pose before we move to our next pose? Oh, thank you, Annie. Um, I want to teach now a gentle inversion with just the single bolster. Delicious, says Monique. You can thank Mary Richards, who got this from Angela Farmer. So that's yoga lineage. Angela Farmer, Mary Richards, and then me. Tucking the tailbone, yeah. So that pose does involve what we just did. That's how I describe it, is that as I'm on the ground there, I'm moving from this to this motion to this motion, which is tucking and then untucking the tailbone, or flexion and extension of the lumbar spine is another way of saying that. Okay, this gentle inversion now is not appropriate if you're pregnant. If you are less than halfway along, like before 4 months, I would do one blanket back bend. If you're more than 4 months, I would do side lying shavasana right now. And it's probably not appropriate if it's like day 1, 2 of your moon. If you're really bleeding heavily, you're probably not going to like this pose. But this is wonderful before for PMS. This is also a really wonderful pose. It's called upward facing Paschimottanasana, Urdhva Paschimottanasana, upward facing forward bend, basically. So we're going to do a forward bend, but elevate the hips onto the bolster. It's really wonderful if you've had a hysterectomy. It's wonderful if you feel bloated or constipated. And it just has a really nice quality. That's why I picked it for today, of receptivity. You feel like you're lying there and the pose is doing you, which is so wonderful. So you take the bolster across your mat and you can sit on it. I'm going to put on my socks so I'm even more comfortable. And then I'm going to, I'll show the blankets in a moment. Let me just show the position now. So you want to find a way that you're tilted off your bolster and the knees are falling with gravity towards you. So this is too little. I'm just barely on the bolster and I don't have any kind of momentum to go that way. But what I usually see people do is too much, where the bolster is too far under, and then I really feel like I'm being strangled by my legs. So you have to find the Goldilocks happy middle point that should feel really effortless. Like I'm just lying here doing nothing, but it's almost like a natural tipping point where the gravity is letting the legs come up and over. Um, so depending on what's happening with your belly, how big your belly is, um, you may want to open your knees. What also feels really good, I like to just take a blanket and put it across my bum and thighs. It just feels kind of cozy and enclosed, especially if I'm practicing this in a class or teaching this in a class. It's nice to have a blanket for covering. And then it's because it can feel a little vulnerable. So then with my second blanket, you can either roll it and place it between the thighs and the belly, which some people like that pressure. For me, it feels like it's too much. So I like to place it behind the backs of my knees, a little bit of a roll. Oh, and then it just catches effortlessly. And now I'm going to cover my eyes. So this is a restorative pose. Still, dark, quiet, and warm are our principles. So I'm going to lie here. Nothing happens next. The arms come out to the side. And I'm going to just lie here and feel the breath coming in and out. Feel myself receiving this pose. If at any time it feels like it's too much for you, then just gently bend, bring the feet one by one down to the floor and just finish the pose with us with your pelvis elevated on the bolster. And Sarah, if you could mute me, that would be great. Then people don't have to hear me breathing in the pose. Cool. Inhale your breath. Exhaling, leave one knee where it is and bring one foot down towards the floor. You've been here a while. Moving slowly as you unwind from the pose. When both feet are back on the floor, take a couple of breaths. And now begin to roll yourself to the side. Again, lying on your side for a few full rounds of breath as you transition. And press yourself up to sitting. Okay, we're going to do some journaling now. Take a pen and a blank piece of paper or a fresh page in your journal. And I'm going to set a timer for us. Let me double check what sound I'm going to do at the end. Let's see what this sounds like. No, that's not good. Trying to find something that will also be good for the end of Shavasana. No, they're all too upbeat. No! Okay, I'm gonna pick that. So start where you have 5 minutes now, and the prompt is receiving means. Receiving silence means. That's our theme today, receiving silence. Receiving silence means, so you take your pen and you can write a poem or a long form. You just keep moving the pen across the page until the timer goes off. Do not stop. I'll give you silence. Receiving silence means. Okay, so let's move now to our shavasana. That's it. That's been our 45 minutes already. We have the last 15 minutes to turn to shavasana. I'm going to show the setup, which is a version we call Burrito Shavasana. As I was speaking about at the beginning, this sense of wanting to be held, that I've been craving this week. This version is in this book, Restore and Rebalance, Mom's book. I'll include a link to that in the PDF if you want to read more about this pose or dive deeper with it. So let me start our timer with us for us. I'm going to put 18 minutes there. And Sarah, are you able to mute me when I start? Yeah. Okay. So I'll let you know. And then this timer will be going for all of us. So start. So Burrito Shavasana requires you to wrap up with a couple of blankets and you need a pillow for your head. I'm going to get that now. So the if you have a really grumpy low back, number one, I hope you're joining us for our Love Your Lower Back course, which starts on Wednesday, which you can find at lasater.yoga. I'll mention that again at the end. But if you have a really grumpy low back today, sacroiliac, then I would not do this version of this pose. Instead, I would put a bolster behind your knees to make sure that they are supported in a little bit of flexion. If your lower back is doing okay, then what I would suggest you do is this burrito setup, which requires two blankets. You're going to open the first one and to about this shape. So Tadasana of the blanket, which many of you know, and then one more. And you're going to put it on your lower legs, kind of up to your pelvis. And the feet are a little bit separated and a little bit turned in. And then I'm going to tuck as tightly as I can. I'm going to tuck that blanket around, 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 around. And now I'm going to take the second blanket, open it up, and it comes all the way up to my bottom ribs. And now here's the moment I come onto my elbows and this comes to my bottom ribs and I pause here and I have to tuck everything else. Tuck, 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 and lean a little bit away and tuck, tuck, tuck. So I'm really held here and tuck it under your lower back a little bit. And now adjust a pillow behind your head. So I love practicing at home because everybody has a pillow as opposed to in a yoga studio. And take your eye support, eye cover to create darkness for yourself. So let yourself be held here by the props, be held by the wrap of the blankets. Let go of any effort that may be lurking in your feet or in your legs. Let them relax. And even if the feet want to roll out, that's completely fine. Let them relax against that heldness of the props. Soften the chin down. You might want to tuck in the top corners of your pillow to help you soften the chin down a little bit. Part the lips. And open your arms as wide as feels comfortable. I like to practice on the little finger side. Exhale. Receiving this silence now. Receiving anything that's coming your way. Any sensation or creativity or inner wisdom. And now Sarah will kindly mute me and we'll practice together for the next 15 minutes of silence. Inhale your breath. Exhaling reluctantly. Press your lower back down against the floor. And one by one, drag your feet up so the soles of your feet are on the floor. Pull yourself to the side and press yourself up to sitting. Inhale your breath. Open the palms away from the heart. Exhaling, bring them together in front of your heart. Namaste. May we live like the lotus at home in the muddy water. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for subscribing to the newsletter, for being part of this community. Last question for you before we say goodbye in the chat. How do you feel right now? What's your internal state, the internal state of affairs? Rested and soft, quiet, more still, quiet mind, content. Yeah, those are just so different than how we felt when we arrived. Peaceful, nourished, calm, heavy yet light, peaceful, even keel. Wonderful. Someone was asking in the chat for a good resource for props, and it depends where you are in the world. But let me show you what I have. I have been assembling this here in Safari. We can look. So what I do is here, if you go to lizzielasseter.com/props, props, then it will resolve to this page. And here's where I just put links. And there sometimes are props recommended by students internationally. There's also reading and other stuff on this page you can go to. Before I say goodbye, I want to remind you, if you go to lasater.yoga, that we have a couple of exciting things coming up. Love Your Lower Back is starting on Wednesday. Big discount if you enroll before then. I can honestly say that making this course with Mary Richards and Mom, like 85% of my back pain is gone. Gone. Completely evaporated from learning some of the movements that they suggest and unlearning some stuff I was doing in my practice. And then you might also like to join us for this winter rest class. It's not happening until December, but if you enroll, when you enroll, you get a couple of free downloads, which you can digest until then. And it's going to be a live, I think 2.5 hour restorative yoga class with Mom in December when we all start getting stressed for the holidays. So I just realized, I was looking at my calendar, that starting next week, because we have 7 live Zooms for Love Your Lower Back, it's 7 weeks, and then the next week is Thanksgiving. So it's like 7 weeks is the fall, and then we're going to be in it with the holiday season. So I hope you can find time to practice. Remember, as I said at the beginning, any amount of the pose contains the entire pose. And I love our international digital Sangha, our group of practitioners. Whenever you climb on your mat, you can know that there's someone around the world who's practicing at exactly the same moment with you. Thank you to Sarah, who was here supporting us. Thank you to all of you. Big namaste. Lots of love. Oh, and last question. Last question. Did you like this session? Give me a yes in the chat. Should I do this again in like 2-3 months? I was thinking maybe quarterly. Should we do these free sessions for just newsies, newsletter people? Love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. Really awesome. Okay. Okay, good. I'll schedule one in a couple months, maybe also in December, a free session. Première fois, j'adore. Bye, everyone. Thank you for being here. Lots of love. See you next time.